We're back. We're ready to go. Welcome to the Zach and Sully podcast. My name is Sully, coming from you live in Killeen, Texas. How you doing? Over here is my man Zach.
Dude, you don't know how hard it was yesterday to try to do that by myself. Like, just try to ramble. I honestly thought I was turning into a full psychopath because I kept on trying to tell myself that Mike Francesa does it all the time. It's not a big deal. But I was sitting there with nobody calling in or anything like that. I just had a sheet that I was trying to read off of different things. So it's good to have you back. It's good to do the show with at least somebody I can converse with.
When I was in Western Mass, I used to have to do the show alone, kind of a lot, and it was kind of daunting. Every once in a while, I'd invite a high schooler on and we'd do interviews, and that was really, really good. But a lot of times, I just had to sit there with my notes in front of me. And honestly, what I would do sometimes, I would take whatever high school game I went to over the weekend, and I would just break it down literally inning by inning by inning, or play by play. So I'd go over a whole hour-long high school basketball game and be like, yeah, so Josh Sampson comes down the court, fouled, misses his 2 free throws. Then, they inbound the ball. The other team comes down. They miss it. And it was literally get me to the end of this show. I have nothing to talk about.
It's a lot harder than what people think. Especially even if you know stuff, it's still tough. So I mean, it's good to have you back. So it's good to at least do this again. But I'm happy we're doing a music one today because I love sports and all that, but I've been in a big music mode lately. So I definitely want to talk some music, some albums, and we have an interesting topic today too. So you want to lead us into that later on, or well?
Yeah, well, let's get a couple other things going. Go ahead.
So before we start, though, you had the lucky privilege of being able to go to Austin City Limits Festival, something I've been dying to go to for my entire life. That is on my bucket list. That and South by Southwest, and I'm pretty sure you'll be able to knock that one off as well when it comes back around too. So how was it? How amazing was it? It was probably the best time of your life.
It was amazing. Before I even get into how awesome the shows were, though, I just have to say I had all 3 days off from work for it. Honestly, it was like I was working. I was exhausted at the end of the day. The way it's set up, you have to walk at least a mile before you even get into the park. They don't let Ubers past a certain point. You can take a pedicab, which is someone biking. You sit in the back of it. And I took it one day, but I felt like a huge loser because the guy pedaling me was literally half my weight. He was probably 120 pounds. And I was like, I can't just do this to this guy. I can't have
How hot was it?
How long?
How hot?
How hot? It was pretty hot. Sunday, it cooled off a tiny, tiny bit. It was probably mid-80s, but it's still 95 degrees here.
Yeah, because I remember when I was talking to a couple of my friends at Ohio State, well, at least I've known a few people too that have gone down to Bonnaroo because it's not a bad drive, and it's a big commitment to do that because you're there for 3 days, you got to come prepared with water and all that kind of stuff. I mean, granted, you left, right? You went back to your home at night, or
yeah, I went back home. I don't live too far from there at all. So,
but still, even having to walk from stage to stage on such a big festival like that, and then did you have time conflictions too? Because I know people have told me in the past that the biggest thing that they hate about a festival like that is that sometimes a band you really want to see is playing at the same time at another band that you want to see. Was that a problem, or?
Yeah, it 100% was. I got lucky though because there's 2 weekends of ACL, and Chris Stapleton, who I really wanted to see, was playing on Sunday the first weekend, but not the second weekend. So I scalped the ticket last minute the weekend before, and I went and saw him. And I kind of planned it out. I knew I was coming for the full weekend the weekend after, so I just saw who I wanted. I didn't really worry about trying to see too many people. So I saw Chaim. Do you listen to Chaim, man?
Yeah, those girls are awesome.
They're amazing. Those girls, and they're awesome. They're awesome. Their studio stuff is awesome. I bought their CD, and it rocks. But when they're in concert, man, it's a different band. Man, they're so bad.
Their debut album was a very acclaimed album. It ended up on many critic lists for best album of I think 2013 or 2014. Their first album came out, but there were a lot of people that enjoyed it. Obviously, I can't go too much into depth about it, but I know the one track with the popular one with a wire that was from it. That's a great tune. I really find myself going back to that one a lot. But they're great.
They have My Song number 5, I think it's called. It's track number 8 on the album. It's really badass sounding. It's got heavy drums. They got some synths in it. They got the wah-wah pedal going on in the guitar. But they are all unbelievable musicians. You kind of hear them and you're like, oh yeah, good pop music. But you don't realize until you see them live. They all rock the hell out. It's awesome. And I think they played a couple new songs, and I think the new album's going to be a lot more rock heavy.
That's cool. So I actually have a couple questions because I'm curious. So you mentioned to me what your favorite act was through text. Do you still agree with that answer? So you said Mike Snow was the best.
Yes, I'm still right there. I'm still right there with it.
Really? They were that good?
They were amazing, dude. And I actually skipped Mike Snow the first time I went to go see Chris Stapleton instead. And I was like, oh, not that hard of a choice. And then I actually considered skipping them to see Willie Nelson. And I was like, I don't really, Willie Nelson, he's cool, but I actually really like.
I mean, still, like, it's something you want to see a little more upbeat, I guess, than listen.
Yeah. They first of all, I left. Have you ever heard St. Paul and the Broken Bones?
No, I have not.
All right, I had never heard of them either. Someone at the show told me I needed to go see them because they put on an amazing show. The band is unbelievable. They got a horn section, but they're like a rock group. Their guy honestly sounds like a gospel singer. He's nuts. So go check them out the second you can. That was an amazing concert, and I left that early to go get a good seat for Mike Snow. And I probably showed up 45 minutes before Mike Snow started, and it was packed, absolutely packed.
They're relatively popular. I mean, I remember they had the hit song when we were in high school was Animal, and then they kind of went under the radar for a little bit, and then Genghis Khan came out, and then I was like, oh, there's Mike Snow again. So I mean, it's good to see them, and they've had a couple other hits and a couple other songs. I know that Adam Lambert, the guy who was on American Idol, he praised them for some of their work. He loved their first album. I remember him having an interview about that. So there have been like pop artists that have been pretty like at least TV famous that have enjoyed their music, and it's good to see them getting publicity. I don't listen to them as much as I should, I guess, but that's great that they were that good. Like that's amazing actually that you found that out. So
it's one of those bands that you kind of don't realize what they put into it, but they got a huge band, like 4 or 5 guys, keyboardist, couple guitar players, like bassist, drummer, and they're just rocking out, and they were loud and completely different experience from like when you're sitting home listening to them on vinyl or listening to them just on Spotify or whatever. And I was taken aback. I didn't expect that to be the highlight of my weekend at all. I was most excited for Kendrick Lamar, and he definitely did not disappoint. He was amazing. It was the second time I saw Kendrick. The first time was at UNH. It was a small show. He only had 2 albums out, and it was okay. He did well. The environment wasn't great. But
I hate that. That always sucks. When the environment sucks at a show, it's awful.
It was just like a lot of kids in New Hampshire don't listen to rap music, unfortunately. And then a lot of the ones that do missed out on bowl tickets because it was first come, first served basis. And it was just a bunch of kids who wanted to get drunk really badly. And no one was really rapping along. But the big thing I have with him, I go to a lot of hip-hop shows. Him and J. Cole, they both have live bands when they play, man. And those are 2 of the best hip-hop shows I've ever had.
Another artist that has a live band that's one of the best hip-hop artists, Chance the Rapper, another one. You got to have the live band on show. It just gets sickening when you just have a guy behind a desk with a computer laptop that's portraying all the beats. It's good when you have like a live band music out there because like a guy, when you rap, going around on stage and just mouthing off into the mic, it's like, it's cool, but it gets annoying after a while, like just having someone talking to the mic. It's good that maybe like he can let somebody from like the string section or the horns do something to change up the atmosphere of the concert and get a variety of everything else,
That's exactly what he did. And like I said, I saw him before. He lets the drummer have a solo. He got a lot more funky, obviously, as we know. To Pimp a Butterfly was really funk-centric. So he would have them break it down and just kind of jam out for a little while, and then they'd hop into a song, which was awesome, which I think is like underrated and hasn't really been done as far as our generation of hip-hop.
I went back and listened to that album again. It is unbelievable how good that album is. Like, it's unbelievable. That, like, I was listening to, like, These Walls the other day, and that's got to be one of my favorite songs, like, ever. Like, that song is so good, and it pisses me off that people, like, resented that album, like the rap fans resented it because it didn't have more the same atmosphere as Good Kid, Mad City, which is weird because it was the storytelling and the theme of it was kind of similar in some ways, but I don't know. I just think we're gonna get to what we're talking about in a minute when we talk about these kind of people. So, but I actually have one more question for you too. You're gonna be brutally honest with me. Who was the worst act you saw at ACL? The worst.
Oh my God! All right, it's this guy called NF. I actually had heard of him before. He's a rapper, and I was like trying to fill. There's this one awkward time slot, and I was like, all right, I'll try and fill it. It was on Sunday, and I like did my research ahead of time. And I was like, yeah, this guy looks pretty good. He's a rapper, like just really heavy stuff, comparable to like Eminem, not like party rap, not like true hip hop in a sense of like, you know, something like Kendrick or Cole. He's not a lyricist, but he's just rapping fast. He's like dropping bars about how hard he works and stuff like that. And then I show up, and like he just had his lyrics playing over the beat, and half the time he would just he would stop rapping, and all you could hear was him. And like I get that you need to do that sometimes. Like Kendrick, when he goes up there, it's a whole band, but then him. There's no other vocalist. So like Kendrick has to do that because he often has a lot of moving parts in his songs. I'm okay with that. But when like people are rapping your choruses that you sing in the real song, like I don't know, you got to figure something out. So he was awful. He was absolutely terrible. I saw Young the Giant, and I definitely
I cannot get into them.
You can't get into them. Here's the deal. I had way higher expectations for them coming into the show. Most of the show, I was pretty let down. But you know what? They played Cough Syrup, and they played.
That's the only song I really like by them, and that's it.
They played My Body, and both of those songs were amazing. I was like, yeah, it was worth seeing them, but I skipped Haim for them. I should have gone and seen Haim the second time, and I really regretted that. So that's probably the other bad band that I saw. Honestly, the Chainsmokers weren't good. They were.
Oh, well, that's the most shocking thing I've ever heard.
Okay, but here's the deal. I saw Kygo instead of Radiohead, which you're going to hate me for. But I saw Kygo instead of Radiohead. I know. But Kygo was amazing.
Are you... I don't even know what to say to you right now. Honestly, I really don't.
Well, I mean, there was more to it. The kid I went to wanted to see them really bad.
Here's the thing with Kygo. Kygo is like, okay, I love the beat, his notorious beat that he has, the same one that's in every song. It sounds like you're on a tropical vacation, and it's like, you know what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Every Kygo remix sounds the same, but it's like.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It wasn't Kygo. Wow.
You talking about the DJ?
What? Yeah, I'm not talking about that DJ though. Give me 2 seconds. I got to look it up. Who sings? Oh,
so I don't even know who you're talking about, and whoever we don't even know who you're talking about, you skip them. You skip Radiohead to go see them.
Yeah, look, but I ended up going to see Radiohead after. I saw the last 45 minutes.
You did see Radiohead. Wait, you said the last what?
I saw the last 45 minutes of it.
Okay, so they're usually probably going on for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So.
They went for 2 hours, and I'm sorry, I can't think of who the hell it was. Give me 2 seconds.
Shame on you. I'm so pissed at you. You can't even think of the artist that you skipped Radiohead for.
You would know them. It's another house music. Major Lazer.
Oh my God! Oh, come on! You've got to be kidding me.
I don't know, but honestly, man, I don't regret it. They were a blast.
I'm sitting here looking at my record collection. I can see OK Computer sticking out right now, and I literally just am so disappointed in you.
But here's the thing. Well,
no, it's okay. If you're not a big Radiohead fan, that's fine. I know a lot of people can't really get into them. So,
no, I do like Radiohead.
There are a lot of people that like Radiohead, but at least the people that I know don't like them because I'm friends with a bunch of idiots.
No, I like Radiohead, but I just didn't think I could sit through 2 hours of them. So I was like, all right, I'll opt for 45 minutes. So Major Lazer was short. It was quick. It was fun. It was like they're pretty good. But I like that kind of music. I don't mind house music. The Chainsmokers weren't good. And
the Chainsmokers actually, they opened up at Ohio State when the stupid Selfie song was out for them, and I thought that I'd never hear from them ever again, so I decided not to go see them. I skipped that portion because I'm pretty sure that show was Childish Gambino was there. Ooh. And then there was another one. I can't think. I'm missing somebody. Oh, Juicy J. How could I forget? Oh. Yeah, so it was like Chainsmokers, Juicy J, and Childish Gambino one year, and that was okay. But the following year was Big Sean, and I hate Big Sean. And I went to Big Sean with the lowest expectations, and it was awesome.
Pretty good, right? And what?
It was awesome.
Yeah, I've seen Big Sean too, and he was actually really good.
I know. You
I was
you
really
sort of forget you hear all the songs by Big Sean and you're like, oh, like I can't stand him. But then you realize I know all these songs, so it makes the concert a little more fun. But I don't know. He had a pretty cool entrance where he did I think it was Paradise he started out with, and he came down on this staircase. And they did a really good job with the show. I was really, really impressed. But
the Chainsmokers were all out, man. They had video screens everywhere. There was lights everywhere. A lot of flashing music, a lot of noise. At one point, I just like Major Lazer felt like a show, and the Chainsmokers just felt like I was sitting at my home blasting like remixes. It wasn't cool.
That's the case in most DJs, I feel.
I just don't get it. Like the Chainsmokers they're a band they're a group I like. They're a DJ group. I don't know. So anyway, that was the deal with them.
I don't even know that you could put the Chainsmokers in this category, but I just can't. Like, if we're talking about this whole topic with like genres of music and not being able to get into certain types, EDM for me is one of them. I just cannot get into EDM music. I can't. I just think it's just like, I don't know. It's not for me. And like I would opt out to go see like Major Lazer or like Chainsmokers at any show because I just like it's not like me. And I also, for one, I'm not a big fan of like flashing lights and crazy like light shows and stuff. Not like I like light shows, but like there was like I remember there was this girl that one of my friends was friends with at Ohio State that she worked at a bar near campus, and like she was up at an EDM show up in Cleveland, and she was showing me a video of it, and like it was like a static screen blinking like a billion times a second, and she was like, oh yeah, they had like ambulance stretchers outside just in case anyone had a seizure in there. There was like 9 or 10 like people like doctors and paramedics and all that. I'm like, how is that supposed to be fun? That's not fun. Someone could literally get killed by just watching this crap. So I just like, I just can't get on board with it. It's not for me.
I like kind of made a realization. I'm like, I think I'm done drinking for concerts of bands I like. Like I had no desire to get even the slightest bit buzzed that whole weekend because I was like, I am too busy worrying about seeing my favorite band and like singing along. And I would definitely still go to a show. I had like only knew a few songs and get kind of drunk, but I was like no interest in Mike Snow, no interest in Kendrick. I was like, oh, I got to be jumping up and down. I got to dance. I was like, I got things to worry about. I got to be in shape. I got to be in tip-top shape.
I like that sometimes, though. I think it kind of lets off a little bit, you know? Just kind of let you loose and enjoy the show a little bit more. I'm not saying it's necessary, but I do enjoy it a little bit. So, but
speaking of, I have 2 more ACL takes before we move on.
Oh, no, go ahead. I want to hear all about it.
One, Schoolboy Q came out. This is the only way I know how to say this. Austin is very white. That city is very, very white, and all the places around Austin are kind of hick. Like you're driving, and it's like, and it's middle of nowhere, middle of nowhere, middle of nowhere, middle of nowhere. Boom, Austin! Like it just pops up. So the people from the surrounding areas don't really listen to hip hop, and if they do, they're like a lot of people who listen to hip hop, and they download all of Kendrick's albums and are like, yeah, I'm a huge hip hop guy. So Schoolboy Q comes out, and no one really knew any of the words to his songs, and it was really awkward. He started off really, really in a rut because no one was like jamming out, no one was having fun, people were leaving, and he was like, hold up, and he goes up and he talks to his DJ, and he rearranged the set, and he covered, which was kind of weird, but it was cool. He covered, I think Mad City by Kendrick. Yeah, he covered Mad City by Kendrick. He played Collard Greens right away, which he was probably saving for his encore. He just rearranged his whole set list.
Yeah, but Schoolboy Q, that's a smart move by him though, because he knows that the audience isn't getting. He's probably thinking I'm an unfamiliar audience. Like people probably don't know my stuff really well. So I mean, I think that's a good move by him. I know you agree with me as well. If you're in that part and you think that like you're not the field like they're not vibing with you, then you probably got to go to your songs that you were saving for the end, your popular ones, just to keep the crowd going. And then, unfortunately, even if you have to cut your gig short, which kind of stinks, but you got to do what you got to do just so you're not like embarrassed or like look stupid on stage. But I feel like that was a smart move by him.
Yeah. So I really appreciated that, to be honest, because I was like, because that's half the fun. Like I said, even if you're playing an amazing show, if the crowd sucks, it's not that fun. The other major takeaway. I don't care how uncool it is. I still love Mumford & Sons, dude.
I mean, no, it's fine. It's your opinion. I mean, yeah, I'm not going to criticize you for it.
I'm like, I would never admit. I mean, I guess I'm going off the podcast, which is going to be like recorded for everyone. But they're like, they're not cool. They're not cool at all. I don't give a shit.
Their newest song was. I like their newest song. The
Wolf.
I love that song because you know why? Because
it doesn't sound like
the one song in Mumford Sons history that doesn't have.
I just learned how to. Speaking of music, I've been in a wicked big music.
They were great. Little Lion Man in the Cave and all those songs are good songs. But we all know who to blame here. It's WBRU's fault, obviously. That they take the #1 blame for ruining Mumford and Sons. So I blame them.
But it was really hard not to go see them a second weekend in a row. But LCD Sound System, that's an amazing band. They're amazing.
Oh, you saw them? Damn it!
Yeah. I told you.
You told me that.
I told you they opened up with Little Lion Man. And I was in the middle, and they actually started half an hour before LCD Sound System. So I stayed there. I watched Little Lion Man, and then I walked over and I saw almost all of LCD Sound System.
Damn, I'm so jealous. They have so many good songs. James Murphy is a genius.
Yeah, they're amazing. It was honestly worth going to. They're amazing as a band. It was worth going to just to see all the people who were messed up out of their mind on drugs just dancing alone, though.
Well, they were united because they disbanded when we were seniors in high school, and then they pretty much stated that they did a whole goodbye show at Central Park or Madison Square or MSG, one of the two. And then I didn't think they were going to be a band again. I thought it was over. And then James Murphy started hitting stuff earlier this year, and I'm like, oh damn, they're going to be a band again. So hopefully we hear a new album, but I'm really jealous to hear that. Damn, screw you, dude. I'm pissed.
Hey, you should have came down.
Well, I'm not a big. Well, I love the idea of festivals, but my idea of it is me sitting on a hill somewhere where I'm not in the crowd. I don't like being in the crowd. You could have done that too. I just hate getting shoved around and all that crap, like being up front. I'll go up front for a very few amount of bands. If it's like somebody like I'm a big fan of, I'll try to get as close as I can and deal with it. But for the most part, it's not really me. But I still get mad anytime anyone goes because you get to see a lot of bands that I like. So
start working on coming down for South by Southwest.
Oh, you bet your ass I'm going to be thinking about that. I want to. South by Southwest is dope. I need to get down there. That's on my bucket list. So I'm definitely going to consider that. That's in March, right? March?
Yeah, that's in March. And half of that is all just like bands that, like concerts that pop up. It's like, oh, Jay-Z's playing at 12. You should go.
Hey, that's great. Like we said earlier in our podcast earlier this year, March is the worst month in the world. But if I get to go down and see South by Southwest, it'll work out great.
You said that. I said it's one of the best.
I know I said that. I'm telling you that I said that. And you said that it wasn't. And
yeah. I couldn't disagree with that fact more. You were like, oh, besides spring training and March Madness, it sucks. I'm like, what do you mean? That's like two of the best things ever.
And St. Patty's Day, but that's about it.
And what?
And St. Patty's Day.
And St. Patrick's Day. That's like 3 of my 5 favorite things in the world.
I guess it's not that bad. Maybe February's worse.
February.
All right, you want to get to our discussion?
Yeah, let's go. You lead into it.
All right. So I was reading Noisy, a music blog. I don't know if anyone of our listeners know of it, but I try to like bounce around from like different opinions, like because you can't just be a pretentious asshole and read Pitchfork and expect that everyone's going to love you after that. So got to read a little bit to find your music, got to see what everybody else is saying, then make your own opinions for yourself. But I thought it was interesting. There was a sponsored thing for the first time in my life. I hate when the sponsor ads come up on Facebook. It's like I hate when I get that stuff because it's usually shit I don't want to read about. But they had an interesting take, and it was pretty much talking about could you date somebody that either like resented or didn't like any of the music that you liked. And I thought about it a little bit because it's like I think I've been dealing at not even a relationship but with my friends my whole life, and I think that like I've gotten through enough scrutiny through some dumb opinions from other people or just people who just don't really like the music I do. But I don't know. I thought about it a little bit, and I found myself on both sides. So I wrote a few things down, but what is your initial take on it? What do you think?
Well, before I get into the actual discussion, I just want to say the prime example of that is us getting back from the bar late at night. It's like 2 a.m. We're all hanging out. We're put on some good tunes. And Garrett's like, I'll put on my iPod. And he puts on Little Dicky. And we're like, dude, we're like not trying to like, it's the end of the night. Put on something good, something classic.
Yeah, Chingy Radio. That's his go-to. So like, That's what I'm talking about. Like it is so hilarious to me that people like criticize like me and you like for like not like they do, but like music taste in general, and then they're like laugh at the fact like, oh look at Garrett putting on Chingy radio. It's like I don't know that drives me ballistic. But like I get what you're saying. That's the pinnacle of it. You're judged by like your friends. After you go to the bar and you're all hanging out at the house afterwards, you want to put on something that sounds good, and then there's always one dude or one girl in the group that's like, oh, what the hell is this? This sucks.
Like I'm a big fan of pop music.
I like pop music too.
But like there's a limit to it. Like I think the Lemonade CD by Beyonce is fantastic.
I still haven't listened to it. I want to.
It's just because it's been weird. It hasn't been on like Spotify and stuff.
Yeah, I know. I got to find another way to get to it though. But I have been hearing great things about it. So
it's really, really good. And if someone's like, go put this on at the end of the night.
Her sister or cousin's new album, Slow Lane, whatever her name is.
No, that's her sister. But no, I haven't heard.
Really good album. That one was good. I listened to that the other day.
So I'm all for that. But I hate when, I can't look. From experience. If you have like polar opposite tastes in music, it does not work. Like at least that I honestly can, and maybe this is just because of us, because like music plays such a big part in our lives for some weird reason. We're just kind of obsessed with it. But it was literally, it would get to a point where, someone would put a song on and I'd be like, oh, another Luke Bryan song. Oh my God, I'm going to kill myself.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like the Luke Bryans and like all the other kind of things. Like I get like happy when I see somebody put on like, even if they put on like a Kendrick Lamar or some sort like that, like I can get behind that because like people like Kendrick, but I don't know, like sometimes I always wish that somebody would put like something different on. It's just always like the same go-to. But like from my experiences, like I can't really say myself that what's the best way to put this? Because I have people that are like my friends at Ohio State. We were really, really lucky because like I wrote some stuff down here. What I was talking about. We were able to go to like concerts and stuff like that. And no matter who was playing, it was like a synth band, if it was like an electronic band, if it was a rock band or a rap concert, we all had open variety or open mind to music, and we were able to get along that way. And whenever we'd get back, like at 2 a.m., we'd put music on. Everybody would take a turn with the iPod and put something on, and it came from different like genres all the time. And it was always good, and we always like understood that, and it was great. But I'm just gonna put an example out here today. Like I remember last summer I was at Round Hill Beach, and I'm not going to say who it was, but like I was playing. I got the aux in, and I was sick and tired of having to listen to Luke Bryan, and I was sick and tired of having to listen to Jason Aldean and Zach Brown Band Chicken Fried. So I was like, all right, let's put on something a little more like alternative or stuff like that. So I played a popular one by Tame Impala. I think it was The Less I Know the Better, which was getting pretty popular itself. And then somebody shouted out, "What the hell is this shit?" Like, it's like, dude, like, how can you always listen to the same songs over and over again? I don't get it. It's the same thing. I mean, if I could even tell my parents, too. My mom and dad, they listen to the same country playlist all the time. And it's like, you guys don't get sick of this?
It's weird. My dad always hated country music, and he just started listening to it a lot, which is mind-blowing to me.
You know what it is? My dad said this, too. It's because my dad says he listens to so much country. It's because the rock music and pop, or rock is, not popular anymore. And I think a lot of people who are fans of rock switch over to country now because at least they get to hear guitars. I think a lot of adults want to hear new music with guitars, and there's not a lot of guitars and a lot of new music. Or at least they don't branch out to the indie alternative stuff. Not most of them, at least.
Yeah, because you're thinking what's one of the bigger rock bands that's kind of universally accepted, that's cool right now, and you think of someone, you think, all right,
21 Pilots.
21 Pilots. The only strings in that are ukulele, which, I mean, it's awesome. They do a great job with it. But, if you're trying to hear someone shred, you can't listen to them. They have an awesome drummer. Josh Dunn is amazing. He's amazing at what he does. And I could just watch him drum forever. But, like you said, a drum solo doesn't happen in radios, it just doesn't happen anymore. So I agree. I can kind of agree with that.
But it's sort of weird, though, isn't it? Because it was even in the 80s, when you had all the pop, like electronic stuff like that, even bands like Aerosmith and Van Halen were still like popular bands. Iron Maiden and all those shows, those sold out. But it's like you don't really hear it too much of like those kind of bands on the radio anymore. But I think that kind of ties into the whole fact of why a lot of adults who grew up listening to hard rock in the 70s and 80s are now listening to country now, because I just think they want to hear guitars. They want to hear more rock sounds. And a person like me and you, like our age, when we hear like, oh, you want to hear some rock, you're going to choose Jason Aldean now? It's like, oh, I want to puke just hearing that.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think Zach Brown Band is great. I think Luke Bryan has his moments, but like I'm down here in Texas right now, and they're fans of real country, and they're throwing names at me and they're like, "You ever hear this guy? You ever hear this guy?" Like, I've never heard him in my life. I'm like, I'm not a huge country fan, and I was like, "Oh yeah, what about Chris Stapleton?" And I get laughed at. They're like, "You hick." I'm like, I'm the farthest thing from a hick you could possibly imagine. They're like, yeah, people listen to Chris Stapleton, but he's kind of got a stigma to it. And that, up in Massachusetts, if you listen to Chris Stapleton, you're like, ooh, cool, you're drifting away. Kind of edgy country, you know? It's like, it's just mind-blowing.
And yeah, I'm so tired of the whole entire like pop country thing, that the Florida Georgia line shit.
Bro country. That's what it is. It's bro country. But you know what? You know what else they need to do?
None of those guys write those songs. They have all songwriters for them. They're not the guys who are the country singers back in the day, at least. And I'm not trying to sound like, oh, well, back in the day it was better, but it was better, because the guys who were actually writing the songs were actually like living in the countryside, and they were also like doing like country style works. They wrote about like the blues. They had like at least like some certain things. But I remember I got in this argument one time when we were hanging out with our friends in Dartmouth. One of our friends was dating a girl at the time, and we got in a fight not a fight, but like an argument, because I told her Luke Bryan sucked and he was generic, and she flipped out on me. And I'm like, tell me one thing that makes Luke Bryan unique. And she couldn't, and then she just stormed off. I was like, okay, like that proves my point.
You know why Luke Bryan is so successful? It's because he does a concert all the time. He's on tour every single year, and I've seen him live, and he's a good performer. You know why? Because there's fireworks. He gets up there, and he shakes his hips, and he's good looking, and he's got washboard abs, and that's honestly 50% of the appeal. And I'm not just saying two women, like the guys too. Like, it's fun. He sings about drinking beer and partying, and that's a huge draw. And that's his appeal. And in that kind of setting, if I'm like out on a boat, I'll listen to Luke Bryan, and I'm probably going to enjoy it to an extent.
So to tie into this argument about like the whole thing with like the country music and stuff like that. So I think it's a good example, because, all right, say you're dating some girl that like loves Luke Bryan, Jason Aldean, Florida Georgia Line, blah, and all those like other bands. And you're like, oh, I like country music too. You're like, oh, what do you listen to? And it's like, oh, well, I'm a big Brad Paisley fan. I like Sturgill Simpson. You're like, oh, who the hell is that? And then you play a song for them, and then she's just like, oh, what is this? And I'm not saying like everyone's going to be like that, but I think it's like, if it got to the point where like I had put a song on the radio that I liked, and like as soon as the good part in the song was about to come on, and they immediately go to the volume and shut it off, I'd be like, what the hell? It was the best part of the song coming up. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I don't know.
It's funny. We started to talk about same music tastes, but really the mutual understanding we have is that people who don't listen to real country music suck.
And I mean, and that's one example of it, really. But I think that like there are a lot of songs out there that I think that like I've listened to that have had great pop sounds, and like that I really, really enjoy, that I think more people would enjoy. Like, I don't know, M83's Midnight City, great indie electronic song with pop vibes. I think a lot of people like dug that song when it was out. MGMT, when they were early in their stage, like Time to Pretend, Electric Feel, and Kids, those were all like great like songs that sound different, that like got popular and stuff. And I felt like I could play those songs in the car with anybody, and that would be fine. Like, I'd feel comfortable with it. Like, but I feel like that's how I should feel about most stuff. Not all stuff. Like, I'm not expecting to get in the car and play some like crazy obscure music that somebody might not like. And I'm trying to think of like a random band at the top of my head that I know for a fact that nobody would like. People would be pissed off if I started playing it. I don't know. Maybe like a hardcore rap group like Death Grips.
If I put on Haim in the car, I think like 9 out of 10 people would be like, "What's wrong with you?"
which is ridiculous. Like because I don't even think they're not even odd sounding. They're just a girl rock group. That's good.
No, they're not odd sounding, but you know what? They don't sound like anything you've really heard before, or at least in our generation, and that's what makes the difference. Is people are like, whoa, this is kind of weird, and it's not in your face, so they don't know.
Why is that so weird for people? Like I think that's the biggest question for me. Why does that make people uncomfortable? Like I don't get it.
Well, I think a lot of problem is the radio because I mean we complain about WBRU all the time, but in reality it's not just that. Like there's very limited good radio stations, man. Like there's like two options. There's one like classic rock station down here. There's like a bunch of country stations and there's two hip hop stations, and that's like what I have to listen to. And I usually put on the hip hop stations because a lot of the country is like the bro country, and I get sick of it really easily. And it's like the same hip hop songs over and over again. It's like "You Need Me," that song by Rihanna, or like that like the new songs by Drake. It's all the same stuff. They just play it over and over again all day, and it's like it just kind of gets embedded with people. And if you're not doing your research, which a lot of people don't do, that's totally okay. But
quick WBRU rant. Can I throw one in real quick?
Yeah, of course.
Okay. All right. So here's this thing that WBRU has been doing for a long time, and I think it's interesting that I bring this up. They have a section that goes on from 12 to 1 called Back in the Day Cafe. It's no different from what they play all day. Like, no different. You can get your phone out and film this all you want. I don't care. It's no different. So they literally play Today and Tonight by Smashing Pumpkins 5 times a day. And then they're like, oh, Back in the Day Cafe starts now and at noon. And then all of a sudden, like you hear that opening riff of Today and you're just like, oh, here we go, Back in the Day Cafe again, the same freaking song they've been playing all day. So then that song ends. Guess what comes up next? No Sleep 2. Whoa, haven't heard this song before. Beastie Boys really mixing it up, WBRU. Like, what is the point of having a Back in the Day Cafe section where you play old tunes, like old alternative tunes? They don't play the Smiths. They don't play anything from what else from the 80s that we could throw in? The Pixies. They don't play Stone Roses. They don't play, like, I don't know, Guided by Voices. Like, they're not popular bands, but they're alternative. It's not that hard to dig a little deep and say, oh, this was a popular song this year that occurred between the years of 1985 and 1996. We could probably put that one up there. But you know what the guy's thinking in the DJ booth? Don't play Smells Like Teen Spirit. I don't think anyone's heard that one before.
I'm telling you, I think there's something wrong corporately because they've been doing that forever. And my dad said when he used to listen to BRU, like before we were really interested, he said they did the same thing. So
how is nobody complaining about this though? Like, how is nobody like?
I think they do. I think they just think, look, people still listen to it because if you think about it, name one other station in south of Boston that's similar to WBRU in a good way.
The one that was broadcast out of Emerson was really, really good.
Yeah, but that didn't really reach all the way down here, did it? Like Providence?
It was 96.5, I think, was the New Bedford hub for Emerson College's radio station. It was great. Like, I heard songs I had never heard of before. I heard, like, new artists, even local artists in Boston. And I also, like, they didn't have commercials, which is it's not a big deal if you have commercials. Like, that's one thing. Commercials suck. But, like, I guarantee you can go to WBRU's playlist right now. And there's, I will bet $1 million every month, every cent that I make in my life that one of these 5 artists will appear. The Red Hot Chili Peppers, the Smashing Pumpkins, you got Nirvana, Pearl Jam, and the dreadful, god-awful Offspring.
I like the Offspring, but I just
can't stand them anymore. I can't. They were okay when I like listened to a few songs, and I just like, it's one of those bands that they just ruined for me.
You know what? People probably do complain, and you know what? They still probably listen. And I think so long as ratings are okay and they don't significantly drop, I think they're not going to change anything. And you know what? If I were home, that'd probably be one of my presets, and I would probably listen to it a decent amount, even if I didn't listen to it all the time. And that's probably all it takes to keep its rating up, you know? So as much as it sucks, it's going to take some drastic change to make a difference. I don't know. Let's start our own radio station down there. But see, that's the thing. And we talk about all our friends, and they don't really care that much about this type of music. Where's the audience for it?
Yeah, I know. I think that's the biggest one too. Like,
like Columbus, Ohio, is like a music hub. Austin, Texas, is a music
scene.
hub.
Columbus was unbelievable. I loved it. It was so great.
But they're like even Providence. Providence is like kind of a music hub.
It's supposed to be, but it's really not anymore.
Yeah, well, they haven't had a good local band come. The Joy Formidables is like the last big band to come out of there. They're actually playing.
How can you not get a band to Providence? I don't understand. You got Brown University. It's a college town practically. There's like 4 schools that are locally around that surround the city.
No, I mean like local bands out of Providence, like a band that's come out of Providence that's made a name for itself. You know what I mean?
What was the last one? I don't know.
Ear Tick.
Deer Tick, yeah. I know there was a band, the Rice Cakes, that was getting a lot of airplay for a little bit. They had one song that BRU played a lot. But other than that, local music is one thing. But what I loved about when I was in Columbus was that when CD1025 did a great job of promoting new bands all the time. Even bands that were popular too. You had bands that ranged from they had DMAs, which is a popular kind of band that's going on the rise from Australia, at least in the alternative world. I know they've been compared to Oasis. I know Noel Gallagher has commented on them saying he was going to go boo them at a show this past year. I mean, he was obviously joking around, but they've gotten some publicity. Never heard of them on WBRU. You got other bands like Tim and Paul. I bring this up all the time. They get a lot of airplay on alt radio or Alt Nation, on Sirius Alt Nation. Never hear them on WBRU either. You also have even some of the local bands like come around and stuff like that. But I think it's they got to open up their brand a little bit. If they start playing some of the new indie stuff, tell those bands, hey, come down here and play the Met or play a free show concert series. And what I love also about CD1025 is that they're doing this new thing now where they have a thing called the Big Room, where the bands who before they perform in Columbus go to the radio station, perform in their studio room. And now they've been broadcasting it live on Facebook. And that's why CD1025 has been so successful. They were on the brink of bankruptcy because they were getting bought out by other radio station and other I forgot what the whole scenario was, but they were in a lot of money in debt. But I think they've been able to survive because the city respects them. And I think it's because they bring so much music. And I think Providence is the same way. But it's just I just think that people aren't taking people don't really care too much about it, which is sad because we're gonna be listening to Nirvana, Smashing Pumpkins over and over and over again for the rest of our lives. Not that I have a problem with those bands, but it just gets annoying after a while.
The thing is, though, we were just struggling to name the last big band out of Providence, and we came up with Deer Tick and the Rice Cakes. Name the last big band to come out of
Rice Cakes. The Rice Cakes aren't even big.
Yeah, so name the last successful band to come out of Ohio, Central Ohio. Where do you want to start? The Black Keys,
Pilots, Walking Moon.
Pilots. Yeah, exactly. So
not Walking. No,
Walk the Moon.
Walk the Moon. Yeah. I don't know why I thought the Walking Moon. Jeez. All right. So we had what's it called? I mean, you even go to rap too. Cleveland, Kid Cudi was another rapper from Ohio. Ohio's music scene. A lot of bands have been coming out of there. Have gotten pretty popular. I'm gonna go off the air right here. And I'm gonna probably get to think of another band too.
But there you go. That's the difference. Is because there's and for bands that are big to make it like that out of the area, there's another 1,500 that don't make it big, or that either they don't get their one shot or they suck, or whatever. But look, name the last big band to come out of Boston besides the Dropkick Murphys in Boston and Aerosmith. If you have to go as far back as Aerosmith, there's your industry is trouble, and and maybe that's a bigger problem that we need to look at.
I just think that somebody's got to at least call me crazy for this, but I think it's a big problem right now that rap's having. Is that there's so many people trying to make a rap career out of themselves, and very few make it. But other than that, you can make the same argument for rock bands. But I think someone's going to have to do something different. Some new genre of some sort is going to have to come out.
21 Pilots, there you go. They're a rock band without a guitarist. That's unheard of. And they're great.
Yeah.
And they're successful now. And they were playing in front of 25 kids, 2 of them which were me and Dylan Santos.
The kid I worked with one of the kids I worked with at Chop Shop, he used to set up for them when they would perform at the YMCA in Columbus.
Yeah.
And they would perform for people just hanging out at the facility, which was just people who didn't even look at them. It was just they were a background band performing their stuff. So it's pretty incredible. But I'm yearning for something like that to happen. I want to see a music scene come out of somewhere because it's dude, I always talk about how I don't go to concerts around here, but I don't want. Why would I drive to Providence right now? Because there's nothing that's gonna catch my eye. That's what was the difference about going downtown to Columbus. I'd always see a band I was interested in, or there was always somebody playing at the LC or somebody playing at the A&R bar that I wanted to go check out. So.
Well, I think we just found our new business idea. So.
I know, right? It's gonna be tough for the whole freaking internet industry getting people out there and stuff like that. But hopefully somebody breaks through. But to wrap up our topic, would you be able to do it?
I tried it and it didn't work. So no, and I will say this, and if we have common musical interests, it's just that like her spectrum isn't as wide as mine. That's cool. I can deal with that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, that's totally fine. But I think if I was like totally resented about everything I listened to, that would kind of be of an annoyance.
Or if they couldn't get into it, that sucks. Even if they put up with it, if you're like,
because you know how awful it is.
Solo, and they're like, why is he playing the drum so loud? Oh,
Like what? Yeah, isn't that always the worst when like you have a favorite artist and you show it to somebody and they don't feel the same way that you do about it. It's soul sucking. It sucks.
To be honest, like 90% of the bands that I like. And then all of a sudden that band's like Royal Blood. All of a sudden that band's in the intro to the Entourage movie, and I'm like, you all suck because I showed you this band months ago and you didn't give a shit. And now
I've had that happen. I've had that happen to me so many times. Like I can't even count. It's even the worst part is like usually if it's an indie band that I like, and then everybody like says like, oh yeah, well like, I'm not really into this, and then like a couple years later, like it'll be like, oh dude, like this rapper I'm a big fan of, like he said in an interview once that they really liked this band, and it's happened to me multiple times, which is cool. Like I like that because at least like they're giving it a second chance because so and so likes him. But I mean, I just think it's people jump the gun on stuff so quick. Like stop being such a conservative pussy for once and just open your mind to like different genres of music. Like you can't listen to one thing all the time. It's just, it doesn't work. Whether you like rock or country or whatever, even if you like country, stick away from the pop side. Go to something a little more like different, I guess.
Yeah, but a lot of people aren't. A lot of people, music's just a backdrop. Like they're not as passionate about it as you or I. They would never spend like $20 on a record. They would like ask someone to burn them a CD to play in their car. Just listen to it. Like, and I, whatever. That's their cup of tea, but I can't live my life like that.
Yeah. So I guess I guess also what it boils down to, this whole topic, is that I guess some people it doesn't really bother them because they don't feel that way about music and stuff like that. But music is something I always bring up to people. It's like when I meet people, it's like something I'm curious with. Like that's one of the first like few questions I ask somebody when I'm first meeting them. Oh, what kind of music do you listen to?
I met a girl at a party once, and she asked me, and I said, "Oh, I listen to everything." And she said, "That's such a cop out. Don't say that." And I was like, "I listen to everything. You want to see my Spotify list? Here you go." You ever heard of Houndmouth? Oh, which by the way, Houndmouth, amazing.
I had like, yeah. Why is that such a weird question too? I don't get that. Like people are like, oh, everything. They think that like you're just being like, like he doesn't probably listen to much, but like I think it's more of a. It's better than someone saying just like, oh, I listen to rap. Then right away I'm just like, okay, he probably listens to Big Sean or something like that. But I think if somebody was like really, really like into the conversation, I guess, like maybe I'm not gonna jump to a conclusion, but that's usually what I think most of the time.
I like when people say, oh, I'm a big hip hop fan, and I'm like, all right, let's talk. I hate when they're like, oh, I like rap. I'm like,
That's why I always say I listen to some rap, because I never say that, because I listen to a lot of like old school stuff, and some of the newer stuff I listen to is stuff that people normally don't really like. Like I don't know, there's some stuff it's okay. Like I hate Future, which is weird. I hate Future, but I love Travis Scott, and I also and I really like Young Thug too, which is crazy because Young Thug is like on some scale, some people are like full on like obsessed, and then some people are just like he is complete garbage. And I used to be one of those people, but I think he's unique, and I find that kind of funny about him. It's not like Lil Yachty like shit, but it's like I don't know. I kind of like vibe with him.
I hate how people like Lil Yachty's got like 2 songs, and people are like, "Oh, here he goes, take it up, you young kids with your crappy hip hop." I'm like, shit.
Yeah, Lil Yachty comes out and brags about how he doesn't want to rap a verse and doesn't want to have like set a sick bar or whatever, and then he classifies himself as a rapper or hip hop artist. It's like, dude, get the hell out of here. That's bullshit.
But have you heard that song Broccoli by Dram? But the reason it's good is because Dram is in it. Dram, Dram. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
He sings that. You know the song Special on Chance's album?
Yes.
He sings the "You are very special." He sings that part. That's Dram. but he's pretty good. But he links up with Yachty a little bit, and Yachty's kind of trash. But I don't know, like I just hate
I want
like
something that is like when I want to listen to something. I want to be like kind of like. There's some days I want to like vibe to something. It's like I got pop music and all that stuff. But sometimes if I'm sitting in my room, I want to listen to something that's gonna like capture me, make me feel like feel something like, oh damn, like this is crazy. Like what's this called is somebody like I've been really really loving this album, which is it's so weird, it's so out of this world. Danny Brown's Atrocity Exhibition.
I actually haven't listened to it yet, but I'm a big Danny Brown fan. I forget the name.
He loses his mind on this record, dude. It's nasty, but it's really really good.
He's playing in Austin on Sunday. But I looked up tickets. I looked up tickets, and they're like $90. So I'm like, I'm probably gonna have to pass.
That's ridiculous. His new album is crazy. The first track on that album is called "The Downward Spiral," and it's I've never heard rap like this. Like that is a very very unique rap track. And I was watching these guys on YouTube. They called Dead End Hip Hop, and they do a very very good job of like reviewing and taking apart an album that they enjoy. And there's definitely those select few in the crowd that are the rap hip hop guys, the ones that don't really branch out, and they just don't like Danny Brown's style. So they're the ones that criticized like When It Rains is a track off that album one of the guys hated because of the way Danny Brown raps. And that's definitely a problem with some people. They just don't like the way Danny Brown raps. But I think that Danny Brown is an exact mix between Be Real from Cypress Hill and Old Dirty Bastard from Wu-Tang Clan. Like they're literally the same person. He's got that like nyah like sound from like Be Real, but he's got that craziness of ODB. So I don't know. I think that's why I like his stuff.
One of my friends up here or down here in Texas, he was like, he went to play me some music, and we were talking about like old school Lil Wayne, and then he was like, oh, let me put on some of my old school music, and he was a huge hip hop fan, but he was also a huge Justin Timberlake fan. And I was like, yeah, man, like, I dig this. Like, I can get behind this whole playlist right here. He had like 4 or 5 JT songs from Future Sex Love Sounds. And I was like, that's when you know someone's like a legitimate hip hop head when they can listen to some like R&B or stuff like that. And they're like digging that just as much as they are the hard beats, because that's the whole package. That's hip hop. It's like all conducive.
I think I've become like a fan of experimental hip hop, and I think it's the weirdest thing I've ever been into. I don't know why, but I think it's like I hate experimental music. Not like I hate it. Like I think it's cool, but
I've seen some experimental music that's garbage.
It's bad. I think it's leaning more towards avant-garde that I hate. So when I was collecting in a record store, I was going through some stuff, and there is this album that appears on so many like gotta have in your record collection albums. And it's an avant-garde album. It's called Captain Beefheart. You ever heard of this?
No.
He's a guy from the late 60s. Basically what it was is like 5 of them doing a bunch of drugs, and they just got together and did not tune any of their instruments, and they made a double LP. And it was produced by Frank Zappa, which is even worse because Zappa is just crazy as these guys were. And I bought it on record, and I sat down and I listened to the first album of it, like the first side and the second side as well. And I was like, that was the most excruciating 35 minutes of my life. And then I opened up the album, and I realized it was a gatefold, and there was a whole second disc. And I cannot get into that stuff. I can't. There was something about it that was just driving me crazy. They had, if you ever get a chance, go on YouTube, type in Trout Mask Replica, Captain Beefheart. It is the worst album of all time, and people will try and justify this. I think it's the biggest troll move in the history of music that people think this is a masterpiece. It's terrible. And when I was in the record store buying it at Used Kids in Columbus, the guys who were running the store, they were so happy that I was buying this. They were like, oh, have you watched the documentary on Captain Beefheart? And I was like, I don't even know who the hell this guy is. I just bought this album because people online are talking about how crazy and weird it is. And I love crazy, weird stuff, so I'm going to check it out. And it was terrible.
I almost bought some vinyl at ACL, but everything's always marked up at concerts.
Yeah, it sucks.
So I was like, I'm going to hold off. But I came very close to buying like because Raw Raw Riot was at ACL, and they were awesome. But like I've seen them, that's like the 7th time I've seen them, and obviously it wasn't going to be as good as the other times. Because like the festival will never be the best show you see someone at. the festival is good because you see like 5 of your favorite artists in one weekend. But they had like their whole anthology, and I was like, should I just grab them all right now, drop like $80? And I'm pretty glad I didn't. But I was really, really close to.
I always feel that way when I go in the record store too. But that to me, like, yeah, I don't know. That's one genre that's very, very tough to get like behind, just the whole experimental stuff. Not that Raw Riot is. Raw Riot's a great, great band, but they're not really experimental at all.
When I was working on Rhode Island, speaking of Rhode Island, I had an assignment. It was like, oh, it's experimental music festival. It's sponsored by this brewery. Go out, cover it.
Oh my god, I do not like the sound of this already.
Awful. Oh my god. I came back and I told my editor, I was like, dude, what do you want me to write about? It's a bunch of hippies smoking pot in the middle of a room, freaking listening to people like just going, ah, ah. I'm like, this isn't music. I'm pretty nuts. I listen to everything. This isn't music.
There's definitely people who are borderline crazy. Like anything like Bjork does is like batshit crazy and stuff like that, where I have a hard time like listening to an album for that. But I think what the whole thing with Danny Brown and the whole experimental rap thing is that what's experimental about it is that he's using music that's like that's not like typical rap beat music. He definitely has some tracks on there that are bangers that you can play at a party, but there's some like background music and like things that he mixes in with beats are just like, holy crap, this is so cool. But it's so different too. He has a song, if you can check this out, the Downward Spiral, which is the first track. Right when you hear that first opening track, you're gonna be like, I've never heard a rap track like this before. This is crazy. And then there's another track called Ain't It Funny, and the second you hear that beat, it just literally feels like you're gonna get it punched in the face, and it's in a good way. So it's nasty. So experimental is definitely tough, but experimental rap, especially Death Grips, that is an absurd band. There's some songs I really can't get into with them, but they have an album called The Money Store, and it's like heavy metal / punk / rap, and it's the craziest thing.
I think we're like closing in on an hour, so much for us keeping this show short.
Don't worry, we're getting you just in time for the election. So,
but do you have any final thoughts?
I mean, not the election, the presidential debate. What's that?
Do you have any final thoughts?
No, not really. Pretty much hit them all. Other than the fact that I think that we kind of touched a little bit on our argument, but we went to a music rant, which is kind of what I was hoping we would do, because it usually ends up happening with this. But
which, for those of you, like, I know there's some people, not a lot, there's some people out here that watch this that don't know us personally. It's pretty much like you just hung out with us for an hour, because this is what we do when we're alone, like hanging out in the car or whatever. This is essentially what our hangout sessions are like. It's just us arguing or like calling our friends idiots because they listen to Chinging Radio.
Or chain country radio, so stuff like that. But I have no final thoughts other than that. But actually, one final thought. God bless your soul for the next hour and a half watching the douche and the turd sandwich try to talk about how they're going to save the country. I will not be watching because I want to relax and enjoy my night. And the Cubs are up 4-0 on the Dodgers, so I'm going to watch this game right now.
Ooh. The Toronto Maple Leafs are on in the background. They're beating Winnipeg 4-1. This Austin Matthews kid, pretty good. But
yeah, he's all right. He's had a kind of good start to the season. He's all right.
Not my final thought though, because that's kind of that's a layup. I whipped out. I couldn't sleep last night. I've been having a lot of trouble sleeping. That's a whole nother.
Dude, me too. I can't freaking sleep. No one came to my house. My mom is saying the same thing. I cannot sleep. I can't sleep at all.
I just went out. I bought some tea that's supposed to help you like relax before bed.
They were buying lavender plants the other day because they're trying to find something to like figure out.
It's been pretty bad. And I don't know. I'm not like extremely stressed out. Like work's been tough, but I was way more stressed out before. So like I really don't know what it is, but today I was like, all right, I gotta figure this out. And last night I couldn't fall asleep, so I whipped out my acoustic guitar for the first time in like a year, no joke. And I tuned it, and I just started learning a couple things on the spot. Next thing
I need to pick up another instrument. I've been thinking about trying to get back into something. Because I tried guitar for a little bit. I would love to learn piano or a keyboard or something like that.
Dude, honestly, go to a pawn shop and pick something up for like $60. But
I have a guitar here, so I mean,
the big thing, I taught myself the intro to Gravity by John Mayer in like an hour and a half, and I was pumped. And that's the only thing I did last night. That was productive.
All right, man. Hey, you just gotta keep practicing. That's what it's a huge commitment. So, but that's all I got for tonight.
All right. Yeah, this is all I have too. I'm going for a long ass bike ride on Friday. Can't wait for that. I'm gonna
good luck.
Thanks, man. All right. I'm Sully. That's Zach over there. We're trying to stay consistent. We're failing, but we're coming back at you with another one soon. Don't worry.
Buy an album. Listen to some more music.
Florida Georgia line.